Good afternoon, Year 7s. My name is Miss Marks. I've been helping to plan some of your CPSHE lessons this term, and I heard some really wonderful things from your tutors last lesson about how well you've been able to discuss something that could be quite tricky in a really sensible and mature way, showing lots of respect for each other and respect for yourself in these lessons, which is fantastic. Well done. Thank you so much. This lesson today is following on with some of the themes and ideas that you talked about last lesson. The lesson you had before talked about unwanted contact and sort of sexual harassment that we can have, particularly around in school or in our lives. And in that lesson, we talked about how lots of different people can suffer from sexual harassment. It's not just like one type of person. And you thought about what that might look like and how to sort of see different signs of what's going on. Well, similarly today, we're talking about something which does affect whole communities of people. Whilst the sexual harassment, the unwanted contact, and actually sexual violence that happens is to one group of people, it's something that happens to girls and women. I believe it's something that kind of affects whole communities, and whole communities have a part to play in being able to bring this practice to an end. So this is something that happens to girls, mainly girls and sometimes women, and it's called female genital mutilation, or sometimes it's shortened to FGM. Now, sometimes people call this female circumcision, which I think wrongly sort of puts it as if it's similar with male circumcision. So you may or may not know that in some religions, in Islam and Judaism and some Christians as well, there's a teaching about male circumcision. And also sometimes it's done for medical reasons. So sometimes it happens in hospitals and things like that for different medical purposes. And it doesn't really harm necessarily the person who it's being done to, the boy that it's being done to. So to equate female genital mutilation with that is wrong in my mind for several reasons. What you're going to learn about today, the practice of FGM, is never, ever done for any medical reason whatsoever. In fact, it causes more medical problems for women and girls who've had it done to them. It means they can live in lots of pain. It means they can have huge problems when they're trying to give birth. In fact, women lose their life giving birth in some countries because they've had this done and they can't give birth properly. So it's never done for any medical purpose at all. And secondly, it's not actually in any of the holy books. Male circumcision is talked about in the Quran and the Bible, but this practice of FGM is not mentioned in any holy books. And in fact, you might know from different religions teachings about not harming your body or not cutting yourself to cause harm. So it's not really in religions. And in fact, it's older than Christianity and older than Islam as a practice, as a sort of tradition that happens. And it's not done for any medical purposes. So I want you, first of all, to know that there is a difference in calling it female circumcision that's not actually very accurate, and we like to be accurate, don't we? The other thing I want to talk to you about is why it's important that we all learn about this. So in CPSHE, quite often you might be learning things about yourself. So you've looked at like the way your body's going to change during puberty, the way your body reacts to different things, how you are as a person, which is fantastic. But also a big part of CPSHE is for us to understand other people around us and to be able to help and support people in our community and our friends and even wider community in the world. And so FGM is something you might think, well, this is not going to happen to me, or I don't know anyone who that's going to happen to. But there are people in Tower Hamlets and in our community here in London who this might affect. There are people who it might happen to them here in England, in the United Kingdom. Even though it's illegal, it still carries on. Or they may go back to another country where their family is from and it happens to them there. And so it's something that is about us supporting our community too. So you might, by knowing more about this, be able to empower and support your friends or your community, and perhaps we can help to bring this practice to an end. So in today's lesson, you're going to see different clips explaining what happens, and also why there are these different traditions around it, and why perhaps some people may choose to do this to their children. And at the end of the lesson, you will get given some links for sort of support organisations, places to find out a bit more how you can get support if you feel this is affecting you or your community, as well as how you may be able to join some campaigns to help bring this practice to an end. So at the end of the lesson, make sure you check with your tutors and get that information. There's lots of space for us to discuss these issues more in the coming lessons. But for today, I'd like you to carry on with that respectful, sensible, mature discussion that you've already shown you can do with your tutor's last lesson. And I look forward to hearing back that you approach this in the same way. Okay, goodbye.